Welcome back, Shade Agents. It's LtBuzzLitebeer, back with another Division 2 Warlords of New York Title Update 8 breakdown. And after getting even more time to experience Title Update 8 and the Warlords expansion, I am here to give you 7 tips to improve your build's damage output, or as you commonly hear it referred to, DPS. But before I begin the video, I would like to thank you for the overwhelming support you have shown my channel and previous Warlords of New York uploads. But within that, I have done a bit of research. I noticed that over 85% of my views are from viewers that are not yet subscribers. So if you like the content you see on my channel, take just a second to hit that sub button and click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from my YouTube channel. And with that, let's begin. Most agents looking for DPS begin their builds by looking for more and more weapon damage on their gear, weaponry, and talents. Now, much has changed for Title Update 8 in terms of weapon damage sourcing, but it can be found as a core attribute on all 6 gear pieces at a maximum value of 15%, on your weaponry at a maximum value of 15%, through various talents on your body armor, backpack, and weaponry that increase weapon damage, through brand set bonuses that award weapon-specific damage, through gear set bonuses, through weapon type specialization bonuses, and finally through speccing shade ranks into weapon damage. Weapon damage is categorized as an additive bonus, and this means that all of your damage sources labeled as weapon damage are added together into a total percentage factor before entering the DPS calculation. Now, for best damage output, invest into 15% maximum weapon damage core attribute rolls on all 6 of your gear pieces, and make sure to pair it with the weapon of your choice with as close to a 15% weapon damage roll as you can source. Don't forget to align one of your gear pieces with your weapon of choice to activate the additional 10% weapon damage bonus. For example, if you wanted to maximize your LMG build for damage, you would want to have one piece of Petrov defense group gear equipped for the 10% LMG damage bonus. Don't forget to respec your specializations to match your weapon archetypes for 15% weapon damage. Finally, look for gear talents on your body armor and backpack that award bonus weapon damage for performing specific protocols to activate their damage gains, while sprinkling in weapon talents that may complement your build by adding additional weapon damage based on the lore text and requirements. Agents should attempt to achieve a combined all-weapon damage bonus and weapon-specific damage bonus of 100 to 120% for optimal damage output. Amplified weapon damage was added to the DPS calculation for Title Update 8, and this differs tremendously from standard weapon damage in that any gear or weapon talent text that states it amplifies the damage falls into a multiplicative damage category. Therefore, it will not be added to your total weapon damage factor, but will rather enter its own category and will be multiplied against other bonuses in the DPS calculation. Multiplicative bonuses yield higher damage output figures than additive bonuses, and for the agent who has invested wisely into weapon damage as core attributes, these multiplicative damage bonuses are where your build can really add tremendous damage gains. Examples of amplified damage talents are Glass Cannon on the body armor, Ranger on rifles, and the 4-piece bonus for the Striker's battle gear. In all of these examples, the lore text states that these talents amplify damage rather than award weapon damage. Large damage gains can be gained through the Spotter, Intimidate, Glass Cannon, and Versatile amplified gear talents, along with Vigilance, which is a non-amplified gear talent only available on the backpack. Several large changes to damage ranges and mechanics in Title Update 8 have led to critical hit damage surging into best in class for the current meta. Crit hit damage is a multiplicative bonus that adds additional damage to individual rounds based on an RNG mechanic known as critical hit chance, which caps out at 60%. Now, for an agent looking to deal as much damage as possible, they will need to invest into not only critical hit damage for the actual damage multiplier, but also critical hit chance to increase the probabilities that the most rounds as possible will have the additional damage bonus applied to them. Critical hit damage can be found on all 6 gear pieces as attribute rolls with a maximum value of 12%, along with critical hit chance at a maximum attribute roll of 6%. In addition, both can be found in differing amounts on the Petrov Defense 2 and 3-piece bonuses, Seska 1-piece, GS 1-piece, Sokolov concerned 2 and 3-piece bonuses as well as offensive gear mods. In terms of weaponry, rifles feature critical hit damage as their baked-in weapon talent, while SMGs feature critical hit chance as theirs. Weaponry can also include maximum critical hit chance attribute rolls of 9.5% and critical hit damage attribute rolls of 10%, dependent on weapon type, along with small bonuses for each category through the equipping of certain weapon mods. Critical strikes can also award bonus damage through gear and weapon talents, such as Obliterate on the body armor and Strained on weaponry. If you want to maximize your DPS, try to achieve a critical hit damage figure of 85 to 100%, along with as high a critical hit chance percentage as close to, but not exceeding, 60%. Try to combine brand set pieces to achieve the largest crit gains, and then use attribute rolls and offensive mods to fill in the gaps for your build. Title Update 8 was not kind to headshot damage, as its overall effectiveness was reduced, making it useless versus certain NPC types. Still, it can add large damage gains in specific scenarios and is baked into all weapon types, ranging from 45% on most shotguns up to 200% on sidearms, while marksman rifles are awarded 100% baked-in headshot damage plus the core attribute headshot damage roll they come with. Headshot damage is both an additive and multiplicative damage bonus, and that it factors into the DPS calculation as a multiplicative bonus, but is additive with critical hit damage. Now this means that headshot damage and crit hit damage values are added together before being placed into the DPS calculation. 10% headshot bonuses can be found on the Providence Defense, Grupo Sombra, and Araldi Holdings brand sets, as well as the Aces and Eights gear set, along with weapon talents like Naked and through Shade level points. Now, since the overall effectiveness of headshot damage has been reduced and critical hit damage is additive for this damage bonus, agents shouldn't stress their builds to achieve higher levels of headshot damage than their baked-in headshot damage allows. Try to add an additional 10 to 20% to your builds above what your baked-in headshot damage awards, and look to improve your DPS in other damage categories. Damage to health received an intensive overhaul for TU8 in every facet of the game mechanics. It is still the native talent for assault rifles, but received a massive reduction in statistical values from 29% pre-Title Update 8 to its current value of just 11%. Coupled with this decrease for DTH for assault rifles has been a dramatic increase for all other weapon types to add this multiplicative damage bonus to their stats as the attribute roll at a maximum value of 9.5%, effectively adding the baked-in core attribute of assault rifles to whatever weapon type you choose. However, the largest damage to health gain can be found on the Yawl Hollow Man mask, which is a DZ-specific gear drop and is extremely rare. This mask rolls with 21% damage to health and is well worth the grind, as this damage bonus type is extremely useful versus heavy tank NPCs and Black Tusk doggos. Now, if you are lucky enough to loot this mask, use it for the DTH bonus, and steer clear of using a weapon or recalibrating a weapon to have damage to health outside of assault rifles, as the maximum value on non-AR weaponry is just 9.5%. That 21% DTH bonus on the Hollow Man mask may look small at first glance, but since it is a multiplicative damage bonus and is extremely effective versus certain NPC types, your DPS build will make huge gains once you find and equip it. Agents are still coming to grips with the Division game without damage to elites, but with Title Update 8, we received a replacement in damage to armor. Shotguns have featured damage to armor as their native weapon talent, but with TU8, agents now have the ability to add this multiplicative damage bonus to other weaponry at a maximum attribute roll of 6%. Damage to armor does extra damage to a target's armor bar, and can be especially helpful with elites and even veteran NPCs, especially on higher global difficulties. Now, although weaponry, excluding shotguns, are limited to a 6% maximum attribute roll, damage to armor can be found at an 11% value specifically on the Petrov Defense Contractor's gloves, which can drop in the light zone. If an agent is lucky enough to loot these specific gloves and can find the weapon of their choice that allows for a 6% damage to armor attribute roll, the resulting damage to armor they will receive is going to be crucial for their DPS build. We've arrived at the final tip for more DPS, and this one centers around the out of cover multiplicative damage bonus. You see, out of cover was previously exclusive to LMGs as their native talent, but with TU8 has now been offered up as an attribute roll available on all weaponry at a maximum of 10% or 12% for LMGs. Out of cover damage is applied to targets as long as they are not in cover, and FYI, shields do not count as being in cover. As with the other specific damage bonuses, damage to targets out of cover is in a separate category for DPS calculations, and multiplies with the other columns and therefore yields greater damage gains than those of an additive bonus. The greatest percentage of out of cover damage, besides the 12% available as the native LMG talent, are found on the Fox's Prayer knee pads, which are a named item of Overlord Armaments gear. These knee pads come standard with 15% damage to targets out of cover, and paired up with an LMG or weapon of your choice, can easily reach the 20% range, and will be the last step in really getting your DPS to reach its full potential. And this will conclude my 7 DPS tips for Title Update 8 video. If you haven't yet done so, I would greatly appreciate you smashing that sub button and click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from my YouTube channel. If you liked the video, rate it with a thumbs up, if not, with a thumbs down. If you feel like supporting my YouTube content and operations, please look in the video description for links to do so via my Patreon page and Teespring merchandise store. If you want to, follow me on Twitter for all my thoughts gaming related with a heavy emphasis on the Division franchise. And until my next upload, this is LtBuzzLitebeer signing off.